Richard and I talk to many nonprofit leaders. In those discussions, it amazes us how wrongly they think about major gifts. Today's podcast is a continuation of discussing myths and major gifts. There are so many of them. Today, we dispel a few of them so that we can get the truth out about major gifts and help nonprofit leaders support both the Major Gift Program and the good frontline fundraisers who are out there every day doing the hard work of deepening relationships with donors.
Welcome to the Nothing But Major Gifts podcast from Veritas Group, featuring Richard Perry and Jeff Schreifels. Twice a month, we bring you the latest and best thinking about major gift fundraising, so you can develop authentic relationships with your major donors. Here are your hosts, Richard and Jeff.
Hi, and welcome to the podcast today. Richard Perry is with me, of course, and today we're going to talk about myths and major gifts. Now, if you recall, a few months ago, we did our first podcast on myths, and we only got through 4 of the 21 of them we identified over the years and that are in our book. So we thought, hey, now is a great time to dispel some more myths, right, Richard?
It really is. I have to say, it is just incredibly satisfying to talk about these myths and to set the record straight on them. Because, since I've been doing this work with major gifts, I've run into thousands and thousands of fundraisers who think that these myths are really true. And, so they've been going their whole career thinking about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And it's actually hurting their strategies and relationships with donors. So now for you that are listening to this podcast, you don't have to carry these myths around. I mean, that just that fact alone brings me a lot of joy. So with that, Jeff, why don't we dispel some of these myths?
Yeah.
And here's one right here that many CEOs or executive directors get in their heads. And that is this: it's easy to start a major gifts program.
Oh, yes. We've been told this many, many times.
I know.
So the answer is, the truth is no, it's not. It's hard. It takes work to do this. We've run into, Richard, these CEOs who say, oh, okay, you're right. We need to start a major gift program. I'm just going to hire an MGO and be done with it. That's all I need to do. And if I do that, they're going to look at the donors and they're going to start building relationships. I don't have to worry about it. We just need to hire an MGO. And that's like,
it's way more complex than that.
Yeah. It's about understanding your data. It's about, hiring the right person to do that work.
Yep.
It's about making sure you actually have offers with high dollar amounts that you can go to.
That's a huge one right there. I mean, don't have the right offer. I mean, you're not going to make any progress.
Right. It's about bringing finance and program into the mix to understand what major gifts is about, because they play a crucial role in not only creating proposals and understanding program, but also reporting back on the donors' gifts that are trying to make a difference. And if program and finance are not in tune with that, you're not ever going to be able to fully respond back to the donor how they made an impact, which
I think the other thing, Jeff, is it takes time to actually qualify donors and kind of move them into the system and build those relationships. And so since time needs to pass, then it's not easy. Because if it were easy, you could just start like this Thursday.
Yeah.
And by next Friday, a week from, Thursday or whatever, the money's just rolling in.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah.
But the fact is, it doesn't happen that way. It takes a long time.
Well, I think a lot of executive directors, they're used to direct response fundraising. Mm-hmm. So they'll send out a piece of mail and they know within, 30 days after sending the mail, how much money you bring. I mean, you send something out, we know that you're going to get a response. And so they think, oh, it's just like that. You send
Exactly.
something out and all this money comes in.
Yeah. Well, and even in direct mail, within like 10 days whether the offer you've put out there is going to work or not. And
Exactly.
you don't actually know all the facts in terms of what's the total revenue or net revenue, but yeah, you get immediate gratification with direct marketing. I mean, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Not here. No,
Right.
Takes time, not easy. And plus there's the investment too.
I know.
So
you got to invest in it. It takes time. You got to get the right people, the system, the structures. And, we also talk a lot about making sure you have a culture of philanthropy, meaning does everyone in that organization understand the relationship of the donor to the organization and how you actually get things done?
Right.
And you lift the donor up? Because if you don't have that, you're also dead in the water. I heard from someone the other day that said, culture eats strategy for lunch.
Yes.
So if you don't have a good culture, it doesn't matter if you've got, all those things set up. If people don't believe in it, it's not going to happen.
Well, I mean, and we've experienced that where in one client we had, the finance people were not donor oriented.
Yeah.
And so they wouldn't pay attention to the donations like they should. Checks were left in desk drawers. I mean, huge checks.
Yeah.
Donors were treated with quite frankly, I mean, I think abused, and it showed up in the revenue and the attrition. And so, yeah, there's a culture of not valuing the donor that then affects the economy of the nonprofit. So all of these things are very difficult.
Yeah. All right. So bottom line is, if you're going to start a major gift program, no, it's going to take some work. And it's not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of things to think about rather than just hiring someone to take it over for you. Okay, so here's one for you, Richard. Let's dispel this myth. Only MGOs should be involved with major donors.
My goodness. That's like saying, I know, that's like saying only the salesperson, is going to have the proper effect on the customer.
Yeah.
Manufacturing, production, design, marketing has no contribution to make, and that's not true. In a nonprofit, you need the program people because they're going to help you design the offers.
Right. And
sometimes program people need to meet with donors because the donor wants to hear some more of the details of the program.
Exactly.
And so that's a very critical thing. Finance needs to be involved. Sometimes a finance person would need to sit with the donor and explain the economic side of what's going on in terms of their giving, or what's going on in terms of the money side of things, or board members.
Exactly.
And especially the CEO and development director. So the top authority figures, people, there's some donors that want to relate to them and not the major gift officer.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was done with that.
Well, I have an experience where all of those people were actually part of a solicitation to a donor. We were working many years ago, Richard, with a large hospital foundation.
Yep.
And they've been cultivating this donor for a long time, the MGO, but they had this solicitation was going to be for millions and millions of dollars.
Right.
And this person, the donor, prospective donor, large donor here, owned was like an internet marketing guy and had owned this company. So he had tons of money.
Mm-hmm.
They bring him, they did all this work prior to him coming to the meeting. But in that meeting, to work with that donor, to solicit that donor, was the MGO who had the relationship with.
Right.
They had the head of development. They had two of the doctors from the program that this person was going to help.
Yep.
They had the CEO of the hospital.
Yes. Yep.
And they had a whole presentation that had everyone. They had the finance guy explaining the numbers.
Yes. See?
So everyone was around that table. And it was a beautiful thing to watch. I mean, it really was. And the end result was the donor said yes to it. And it was amazing how that whole process, it brought everyone together. And because it was such a success, obviously it bonded that group and realized the CEO realized, wow, it really does take an entire team here. It's not just one person or two people, but really the entire team. So
so relegating the whole fundraising thing off to the one fundraiser is just not true. It is not true that only MGO should be involved with major gifts. That's like going to a symphony and just having the tuba player play for 2 hours. I mean, it's just not satisfying.
Hey, watch out. I played tuba in 8th grade. So.
Oh, you did? That's cool. Okay. How about this myth, Jeff? The money would have come in even if there had been no major gift officer. The money would have come in even if there had been no major gift officer. It's another myth.
Yeah, we get this quite often, don't we, from executive directors when we're reporting back on what's going on. And it's usually a cynical person who really didn't buy into the whole thing in the beginning and realize saying, okay, I hired this person and but they say to us, that money would have come in anyway. I mean, what really did that MGO do? And we say, hold on. And then we go back to the whole reason why they needed a major gift program in the first place. When we did the assessment, so we bring that back out to them. We go, look at what was happening in year one. Let's just say in this year, you brought in $1 million in revenue from this year. And the next year from the same donors, those same donors that brought in $1 million last year now brought in 400,000. So you lost 600,000 in value.
Well, they don't realize that, first of all.
They don't realize it because new people came in and masked the behavior.
Yep, exactly.
But we go back, we have to point this out again to the CEO. And then we say, now you brought in this MGO and now look at the donor value retention. You went from $1 million and it went down to 900,000 or 850,000. So we only lost about 5 to 12, anywhere between 6 and 12% in value attrition in 1 year.
Right.
So you went from 40 to 60 down to 6 to 12. That's a huge amount of revenue because somebody is now caring for those donors that you're not losing.
And if you put those numbers against, a number of major gift officers, that's millions. I'm saying millions of dollars of retained revenue. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
So, this whole idea that it would just come in, even if there had been no major gift officer, we hear that way too often.
Yeah.
It's like, so what you're saying, sir, madam, or sir, what you're saying is we'll just send them some mail and we'll never relate to them personally.
Right.
And so that's going to be more effective than relating to them personally.
Well,
we all know intuitively that that's not true.
I know. Many times I think they'll look at how that donor gave.
Mm-hmm.
So that donor gave from a direct mail piece. They gave $5,000. And so they say, so the MGO really didn't affect that. We're still like, hold on. Yes, it did. If that MGO wasn't there, they wouldn't have given that gift through the direct mail piece.
Exactly. Yep.
So once they're in that caseload, that is the donor there.
This is a huge myth, myth. I mean, and it's pervasive. I mean, we hear it way too often.
Yeah. So it's absolutely critical for that MGO, and they will reduce your value attrition. So don't forget that.
I know.
Okay. Here's another good myth to dispel, Richard. An MGO can easily handle a large caseload of qualified donors.
This is, oh my goodness. We hear this one all the time. And we often see caseloads of like 500 donors or more.
Yeah.
Remember the one caseload we saw that had 1,291 donors?
No, I know.
And the person was taking credit for all the revenue that came into came in from those donors. And I remember that whole thing that was like, okay, how many of these 1,291 do you really know? It was like 32.
Right.
32 donors out of 1,291.
Yeah.
Um, so here's a simple fact. There simply is not enough time in the day for an MGO to handle more than like about 150 qualified donors. And
That's right.
We know that 150 is the ceiling. That's the big number from, shouldn't go beyond that. And we know that from years of experience in major gifts, as well as, the analysis of a typical, MGO's available time. So like, for instance, what we do is we take a full year, say all 365 days, and subtract the vacation, the holidays, the weekends, the internal meetings, and everything else. And what's left on average, what's left is 18 days a month to be with donors. And that's even including some weekend days. So, so our analysis of the types of contact that a major gift officer, makes with donors during those 18 days, so tiering them. And is it they only have a capacity to deal with 150 qualified donors? That's why we feel so strongly about this.
Yeah.
So it is a myth that an MGO can easily handle a large caseload of qualified donors. It's just not going to happen.
No.
Not going to happen.
No. And, if you're an executive director or CEO and you're trying to figure out, you're looking at it on a cost basis. So you're like, well, gosh, if I have two people, I got to pay two. Can't we just do this with one MGO?
Oh, I know. Trying to save money.
But the thing that we know is that MGO will not have the time to adequately steward, cultivate, and solicit more than 150 donors on a caseload. It's just not physically possible. It's just not. And we go round and round with folks, and we're just like, look at the value of that caseload as well, right?
Right.
So it's not just about the number, but the value. So you got a value of, anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million in that caseload. That's some good ROI that you're producing.
Yeah.
And you will get more ROI over time if you don't go over that 150 limit. So,
Yep. It's just, this is a myth that they can handle a large case. It's just not true.
All right. We have time for one more myth, Richard, and here it is. And we hear this a lot. Corporations and foundations are different than major donors. We don't need to build relationships with them.
Now, I don't know who came up with this idea. And we've talked about this quite a bit, but if you actually stop and think about it, a company or a foundation, they have a personality just like an individual does. It has a set of values, it has a set of passions and interests and things that it cares about. Even if a company doesn't have a formal corporate social responsibility, that's a CSR, corporate social responsibility guideline in place.
Yeah.
It will. It's going to have an informal one. It will. And so a CSR guideline, is basically the corporate equivalent of what we're always talking about in major gifts as it relates to individuals, the individual's passions and interests. In other words, it sort of states what the company will support. Same thing for a foundation. That's just how it works.
That's right. That's true. That's point.
It is true. You've got to go through some different hoops, but you've still got to nurture relationships, telling them their gifts have made a difference, uncover their passions and interests or what the corporate social responsibility position is, and manage it all the same way. It's exactly the same. So to say well, this is all different. We don't need to build relationships is just not true.
Yeah. I think we forget that there's a person making decisions for that corporation,
human being,
right? And every human being, they're the same. They need to like you. They need to know that you're engaged with them and that you're looking out for their interests too as a corporation. And so these individuals are making decisions, which is why you need to create relationships and understand the corporation's passion and interests. And then also really get to know the person behind who's making the decisions.
Yep. And this is true of all institutions, places of worship, social clubs, all of them. Any institution has a personality.
Yeah.
And there's an equivalent to the whole dynamic in major gifts of passions and interests and serving those passions. I mean, that's just a fact. And so, no, they aren't fundamentally different. And you do need to build relationships with them.
Okay. All right. Good stuff, Richard. I'm guessing, Richard, that you're having a high feeling of satisfaction right now because we just dispelled 5 more myths here.
Yeah, maybe it's time to just go take a nap. I'm so relaxed.
But before we go, I'd like to make sure you know about our new book. It's not just about the donor, the ultimate management guide to major gift success. And if you liked our conversation today about these 5 myths, there's 21 total myths in one of our, I think it's the second chapter of our book.
Yeah.
So go find it on Amazon.com. You'll get it there and get more information about these myths and a whole lot more. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the Nothing But Major Gifts podcast from Veritas Group. Richard and Jeff also write an ongoing blog that you can subscribe to for free at veritasgroup.com. Please join us again next time.